Hey, how you guys doing? Just just starting this out right now. We're going to wait to see if Brian uh, jumps in. Then we're gonna start with the live. I'm still trying to figure out how to do any of this. Hey, there he is. Brian, I think you can ask to join, or I can invite you. Let's see. There you go. Holy
Hey, what's up,
cow,
Oscar?
dude! Look at that beard.
Yeah, kind of just appeared out of one day,
Yeah, one day. Damn.
How are you, dude?
Doing good, man.
Oh, gotta
Just
watch what you say. Gotta watch
yeah.
what you say. My mom's watching.
Okay, okay. I'll try to keep the f bombs to a minimum.
Right on. Ward spotting. What's going on? I see a couple of my followers in here. Right on.
Cool.
Yeah, so far so good.
Yeah. Uh, yeah. I was gonna wait to see if we got a few more people, and then we'll start. Just just got home hauling ass from Key West, so
Thanks, man. How was that?
it was fun. It was hot. It was probably
I bet.
blowing, 20 miles an hour from the northeast. So fishing was kind of hit or miss. I caught a bunch of undersized fish, but definitely had fun um, being out there. Better day than
Nice.
being at work.
Yeah. Mitch, what's up, dude? How are you? House mug. That's right, dude. I'm always representing the South. In case I run low, I've got a big old thermos. So I'm feeling like absolute crap right now, but we're gonna make it through it. Oh man.
Yeah, so I guess we'll start it off here. So it's 7:01. Uh, our idea is to do these podcasts once a month right now. And if we get more people involved, then we'll do it bi-weekly or weekly, depending on how many people we can get.
Nice.
This is episode one of the Spotters Podcast, and basically it's by photographers for photographers to get photographers out there and share their name and their photos. Um, I'm Oscar Sakaris. I'm in Miami, Florida. Um, Brian is below here. He's in California right now, right, Brian? Yep.
Yep. California.
So we had asked yesterday um, for questions to see, if anyone had any questions. It looks like most of the people had questions on aviation. Um, some of the questions I received not in the channel. One of them was, will the podcast be strictly aviation? And I wrote down my answer, so I'm looking at my notes. Um, Me personally, while most of my photos right now are of aviation, this will not be a plane spotting podcast. The goal is to connect with photographers, have them introduce their photography themselves, and hopefully increase their visibility and showcase their work through Instagram or wherever they show their photos. Um, Super simple. It's supposed to be a casual conversation between two photographers, just to kind of just another outlet to get their photos out there, their name out there. Another question I received was why a podcast? A few people had asked me that. Um, so my answer, why not? Really, I don't know what I'm doing half the time, so let's try something new, right? If you're watching or listening, You're probably a photographer in your own way. We all use Instagram as an outlet to showcase our photos and connect with others. Um, I had wrote down the algorithm issue, how people are getting less traction, less um, what's that word that they use, interaction, and however it is. So, like I said, the hope through this new project, we can help spread the work. Outstanding work. You're doing great work right now. All I see is hockey, which
Yeah.
is awesome.
Not a lot of planes at the moment. I don't have an
No,
international airport anywhere near me.
yeah, uh, there's I shot hockey for just a few years, but it was mostly like a air traffic hockey league, our own hockey league at work. Um, so that was pretty fun. Um, so the other question I got, and I'm just gonna go through the questions real quick, and then we'll talk about each other, or you talk about you, I talk about me, type of deal. If I'm nervous, so this is our
No,
first, so
you're good,
you
man.
know.
I just want to say real quick. One of my buddies, Brad, is watching, and he was texting me, complimenting my beard. So thanks, Brad. I appreciate it.
I mean, it makes me a little jealous to tell you the truth.
Yeah, but you're also like 6 foot something, so at least you got that going for
Yeah.
you.
So what spotting was one of the questions, and for aviation photographers, it's I found this on Wikipedia or whatever because really I don't know what it is honestly. It's the hobby of observing, tracking, and photographing aircraft operation. And I personally believe that term can apply to anything that provides an excitement or an outlet for creativity. And our creativity is our photography. So it could be, surf photography, wildlife, aviation, cars, whatever you want. And each place has their own locations. And so Brad yesterday had sent if we had any run-ins with authorities not keen on taking pictures. That happens almost at every airport I've gone to for aviation. Of course, airports or aviation. Yeah. So uh, we always get the locals asking us, "Hey, what are you doing? Why are you taking pictures? Are you taking a picture of the base or the people?" And most of the time, they call police because we're not someone in the neighborhood, and um, they're worried or whatever. Most of the time, police think that we're spies trying to get information. That's furthest from the truth, really. We can't see anything from outside the fence. Like you probably see um, better images via Google than you can from outside. So we had a few things, and I'm not going to elaborate too much on it because it's all the same for the most part. If it's either base security or if it's a um, I got to wave at these people, my friends that are joining in. Sorry. Um, Base security or airport security, they're always asking me like, "What are you doing? You can't be here. You know, show me your pictures." And a lot of the times, the first thing I do is I make them comfortable as possible. Um, I don't want they're normally if we have police coming to the base or an airport, they're already on high alert. So you want to make them as comfortable as possible. Um, I like to show my photos. I don't have anything to hide, and most of the time, most of the time I've experienced is the police officer is like, "Oh wow, that's a great shot," and other times it's like, "Okay, so make sure you don't take pictures of the fence line or the usual. Don't take pictures of the buildings." I'm like, "Okay, no big deal. We're not gonna have any problems with that." Um, at commercial airports, there's always a local area where you could watch the planes. Miami International Airport has like two spots. We have one right next to a furniture store that everyone goes there. Even if you're not a photographer, you just like watching the airplanes, people go there. And then there's another place called the Holes, which is more in the middle of the airport, and there's literally holes in the fence that Miami-Dade Aviation Authority and you could put your lens right through the fence and get the airplanes landing, which is pretty cool. Another question I got yesterday: what was my favorite subject matter? Brian, you have a favorite subject matter?
As far as aviation or just photography in general?
Photography in general.
It's definitely sports. I've been playing sports my whole life, and when I picked up photography, it was like the best of both worlds. So aviation's definitely fun. It's more of like a casual thing I like to do, like plane spotting. So usually when I plane spot, like I'll go grab some food, show up to an airport, and just casually spot. Opposed to, sports where it's kind of like you're in the zone for like two
Yeah.
hours because you got a job to do. So I love both. They're just a little different.
For me, I've shot so many different subjects over, I mean, I've been shooting since 2004. So for me, I have to say landscapes is one of my favorites. Um, and long exposure astrophotography. I'm not very good at it, but I just love seeing I just love seeing the stars, on over a desert dunes or in the Everglades, or I just love seeing that. So that definitely is my favorite. I'm sure a lot of people are thinking, "Oh, aviation's his favorite. That's all he shoots." No, landscapes number one. Um, I think Alf had sent in a question: what is our favorite lens or a dream lens? For me, I don't have a favorite. I use a Tamron. Let me see what I have here. It's a Tamron 100 to 400 f4.5. This is like my go-to aviation lens. Right? Can't even. It's too big. It doesn't fit in the picture here. And I shot with an 18 to 200 for, I don't know, probably. Let's see. I've had this camera. I'm gonna say easy 10 years. I shot that and I rented out big lenses if I needed it. But my favorite lens I have used has been a 10.5 fisheye. And it really puts you in a creative mode. You could, like for hockey, I think I had showed you that shot. I put the fisheye inside of a player's helmet
Oh yeah,
and I got
that's right. Yeah.
the shot from like the ice, which was pretty cool. And then I could do. It's a super fun lens. Dream lens for me, probably one I can't afford. And I actually had to look it up yesterday, and I found a Nikon 600 millimeter f4. And since I have a crop body, it's like 1.4x conversion, so it comes out to like 840 millimeters. I think with that, I could probably catch just about anything. You have a favorite lens you have?
No, it's the Nikon Z85 1.8.
Oh,
Super light,
nice.
super fast. It's a great portrait lens. As far as dream lenses, it's gonna be the 400 2.8, but currently that's a $14,000 lens being sold by Nikon, and
Yeah,
I can't flip the bill for that right now.
we'll have to play the lottery for that one.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so you want to go first? Tell me about yourself and what brought you to photography.
Yeah, if you guys don't know me, my name is Brian Collet. I go by BC Captures on Instagram. I was in the Army for a few years, and that's where I picked up photography. So I was over in Kosovo. I was a pharmacy technician originally, and not much is happening in Kosovo. So we were doing like 10 prescriptions a day, and then I had a lot of time to kill. So I basically went to YouTube University because that's something piqued my curiosity as far as photography. So I watched hours and hours and hours of Jared Polin videos. I'm sure you guys know who that is,
Yeah,
Frodo's photo. And he reviewed a Nikon D3300, and I was like, sounds good. So I ordered that. It came with like two kit lenses. It was like the 1855 and then the 55 to 200. And so all I did was I would follow around our public affairs people and talk to them about photography and stuff. And if they couldn't be at an event, I would take photos for them and give them to them. And then when I came home, I actually came out to California for leave. I went out to Santa Cruz, a lot of surfers out there, and I met this guy Keith, who was obviously a pro. He had, two cameras dangling from his shoulders and some big old camera with some big old lens. I'm just like staring at this guy. Meanwhile, my little kit set up. But he was nice enough to chat with me for about an hour and just drop knowledge bombs on me about everything photography related. He's a sports photographer in the area, and I just thought that was the coolest thing in the world. So I asked him, like, hey, how did you even get into this? He's like, I emailed a lot of like minor league teams and just said, hey, can I shoot for free? I'm a beginner photographer. I just need experience. Can I have a press pass? So I went to a cafe. I just emailed a whole bunch of baseball teams in North Carolina, South Carolina, and Virginia, because I was stationed at Fort Bragg at the time. And yeah, a handful said, yeah, sure, come on down. So eventually I bought like, I guess my first legit setup. It was a D500. It was used, but in excellent condition. I bought a Tamron 24 to 70 and a 70 to 200. And those two bodies, or those two lenses were like my workhorse along with that D500. So on a Nikon, it's 1.5, so it's like 105 to 300, which was just good enough for pretty much most sports. And it kind of grew from there. I started shooting for local teams. I shot for the Fayetteville Marksmen for a while, Roanoke Rail Yard Dogs. And then I'd kind of go and visit other teams just on the weekends, just for fun. And it kept going from there. So now I shoot for a small outlet called Inside the Rink Hockey. So basically, we cover minor league hockey across the states. So if somebody's near a team, we'll get a press pass, go shoot, and turn over the photos, and then write a little blurb about it. So
That's awesome.
it's pretty much what I'm doing right now. It's a lot of fun. I have a Sharks game coming up, which is my first NHL game, so I'm pretty stoked.
Yeah,
But I
for
have a
sure.
Sharks game coming up on the 28th, I believe.
Cool.
So yeah.
It's been and I know we had talked a little bit. I know it's been a kind of a rough road to kind of get used to hockey. You had any tips for someone that's kind of um I don't want to say too much because I know it might be a contention subject, but you had any bad experiences in sports, and what have you learned from those experiences?
I'll just keep it like politically correct. But yeah, so I shot for a team for a while and I didn't get paid at the end of the season, even though we had a handshake agreement that I was gonna get paid. That's unfortunate. So if you're a new photographer or sports photographer, just understand that if it's not in writing, don't guarantee like getting paid. It wasn't a ton of money, but at the time, it was to me. Especially since I saw my work used everywhere. It was pretty unfortunate, but I ended up shooting for the rival team of that team, um, and I got treated extremely well by that other team. Great people, got paid, so it was a lot of fun. But as far as kind of getting into sports like hockey and stuff, um, it's very fast paced. It's a lot of fun. There's kind of a learning curve to it. Um, One of the biggest things about hockey, especially minor league hockey, is a lot of that glass that you see. They don't have photo holes like the NHL, right? And if they do, they might have one, right? Or it might be a super small photo hole. So a lot of what you'll be shooting is through glass, and a lot of times it's really scuffed up glass. So don't be discouraged. It's just kind of the way it is. A lot of minor league teams, they don't have the best lighting, or the temperature might be off. Um, I'm currently shooting for the San Jose Barracuda, and their arena is superb. Like the lighting is perfect. I never have to change anything in post. They have plenty of photo holes, plenty of areas to set up remote cameras. So um, it does get better, but I feel like you kind of have to cut your teeth as a new photographer and kind of see how it really is for a lot of other people coming up. That it's not super glamorous. But um, yeah,
Yeah, learning is definitely part of the process there.
it is,
Uh,
and you'll goof up a lot. I mean, especially if you're shooting through glass, just to think about it, unless you're shooting straight through, if you can't a little bit, it's going to warp your image. So you might get a really cool shot of a guy flexing a stick shooting a puck, but because you shot at a weird angle, it warped the image and then you can't use it. So that's a little discouraging, but it's not always like that.
I mean, you just learn for the next time, right? You're shooting above the glass right now. I see that you're always on a catwalk. Or
Yeah, so right now well, first off, I just want to say shout out to PJ, Mark Farb, and Gonzo. Thanks for tuning in. And Dean, hey, how are you, Dean? Yeah, so at the San Jose Barracuda, they have several photo holes on the ice. They're plenty big. You have great angles, and then they have a little area where they used to have a row of seats, right? But they took those out. It's the perfect place to place a remote setup. So I have a tripod that I take with me. I set up a D750 with a 120 to 300, a Sigma. Great, great lens. It's been also a huge workhorse for me. Pretty much any sport I shoot, I'm taking the 120 to 300 with me. And then I have a little pocket wizard that I keep with me. So whenever I'm shooting on the glass or walking around, if there's a play at the net, I can still get that photo of what's going on.
that's cool.
Especially,
Have you? Sorry.
I was going to say, especially that comes in handy because a lot of times if there's a play at the net, a ref is going to come and put his butt up against the glass because he's looking, and then you
Yeah,
can't really get the shot. So it's good to have some eyes in the sky.
for sure. Are you putting in like a GoPro into the net or anything like that?
No, I've never done that. I looked into there's a guy who makes those boxes. I forgot what the type of glass is, but he makes a housing for your cameras and stuff. I've never tried it. I don't know what leagues allow it and what leagues don't, but I think that would be more of something like if you're a team photographer where you have a little more pull.
Yeah,
Right now, I'm more of just an outlet photographer. If this was the last team I shot for in Roanoke, I think I have a little bit more leeway with that just because they know me. But here, I'm coming and going. I actually just shot my last game with the Barracuda the other day, so it's just I just use my two camera setup with the third remote.
gotcha. It looks like King Antonio Gonzalez has sent a question here. Uh, you see, have any picks that you would consider your all-time favorite?
Um, yeah, honestly, some of my all-time favorite picks I printed out, and they were when I first started, which I think is huge. I don't think photographers should just take photos and leave them on a hard drive somewhere. I think
Yeah,
it's not completely finished until you print it out and you can hold it. So one thing I was really into when I first started, again with my D3300 and my little 50 millimeter that I bought, I would just go around to aquariums because I love aquariums, and I would just start shooting. And so I have a handful of photos of just, me as a beginner taking photos around these different aquariums I just thought were really cool. Like, it's like clownfish and stuff, but to have it printed out, it's like, it's kind of cool to see where you started from.
yeah,
Um,
definitely.
and then I have a few, I mean, my time with the Golden Knights, that was some of the most fun I had, but they weren't necessarily photos that were of the guys jumping. A lot of it was like behind the scenes, prepping, interacting with people. Those are some of my favorite photos of all time. So yeah, but no particular one that stands out. Just a few, just different random.
Yeah, yeah, I had just saw a video. Sorry, you're
Oh, am I still
it's
here?
we're like at a yeah, you're pixelating a little bit, but
No,
I mean it's
geez.
like a 4 hour. We're going back in the future here. Um, I saw a video yesterday of like um something about like digital dust. We take all these pictures and it just collects like this digital dust, and we don't print enough. Some of my favorite images have been printed, and they're normally given as a gift somewhere. I have a few of them in my office here. Well, I don't think I could flip the camera, but maybe we could see. So I do a lot of there's some aviation stuff here. I did this like composite for the Makos. I've done some
Nice.
double exposures, and then I have this huge, like 3.5 foot long landscape I captured from Red Rock Canyon in Nevada, just outside of Vegas. And that was
Oh,
like the
very
first time I went
cool.
out there. Uh, First time I went out to Vegas was like in 2017, and we took a little road trip to. It was just amazing. So a lot of the stuff I like to shoot landscapes. I print out a lot of
Right.
them coastal landscapes. You know, we live right by the Bahamas. It's nice blue water here, so a lot of that stuff is, you know, my family has all my prints somewhere in their house. Um,
Yeah, very cool.
I totally believe in printing when you start, see how you edit, and then learn how to edit better, and play around. I try to keep some blurry shots. Sometimes I keep a few that might not be so good, but when you get more experience with the editing, you could kind of go back and be like, okay, well, I can actually make this one look better. I can make it kind of a little sharper because I have different skills. I don't have a book here, but um, what I have been doing is keeping notes, like a shot book. So if I have, uh, like I did a rocket image, long exposure, it was about 7 minutes long, and I made notes of every little exposure change I did. If I put it into Photoshop, what my steps were, so I could, you know, use those settings to do different
Yeah.
editing on other photos.
That's a good takeaway. So one thing I'll do too is um it's never a perfect shoot when you go out and shoot, right? You always goof on something. Whether you leave something or you mess something up in camera, it's always good to take a couple notes of what you did just to remember next time so you don't repeat the mistake. I mean, I've left stuff at home when I went to shoots. Even simple things like charging batteries, that can happen. So you should always have some kind of takeaway when you leave a shoot. Doesn't matter what kind of shoot, doesn't matter what the takeaway is.
Yeah,
It's all
definitely.
important.
All right, awesome. I guess we'll talk about myself a little bit. I had a few questions of how did I get into aviation? Um, what got me into photography in general? So mine is a little long, um, a little background on my aviation. I've had a huge drive it for it since I was a kid. Um, we lived in, oh, thanks. It's not that long, but you know, I appreciate it. I know that was for Brian. Um, we lived in California, um, in a little area called El Toro. In '86, my parents took me to MCAS El Toro to get the Blue Angels flying over, and I it was just it was awesome, you know, just feeling that in your chest. Like we 86, I think they had like you know, I was like uh 5 years old, you know, but I could feel that rumble of those jets, you know, and I always kind of stayed with it. So fast forward in high school, I studied aviation maintenance, and then I moved quickly into college, kind of forgot a little bit about aviation maintenance, studied aviation management with a minor in air traffic control, and I started working in 2004 as a remote pilot, and then I got hired as an air traffic controller 2 years later, and I started, you know, I'm still working um, in that field. I might not do air traffic directly, but I'm still working in that field. So it's been um, pretty much, you know, I feel like it's been 40 years working in the field, you know, because I love it so much. But my interest for photography started when I was about 12 years old. My grandmother took me on a trip to DC, and she had a Canon AE1 that
Oh
she let
wow.
me use. And I remember all I saw was pictures of, you know, I was taking pictures of squirrels, you know, and the monuments. Um, yeah,
There, there you go.
yeah, classic. Um, you know, and I
It's the only
just
Canon I
loved it.
have.
Yeah, I had another Canon that I started shooting with in 99 2000, and I picked that up at a pawn shop of all places. And then I sold that and bought like a Kodak 2 megapixel, you know, digital camera.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I don't have to carry around 12 rolls of film anymore. I could just shoot on this thing. Um, so she really got me into photography, and I just shot pictures of everything. Um, I I just couldn't go anywhere without my camera and take a bunch of rolls of film. Sometimes I'm like, okay, I'll take 4 rolls of film, try not to take all the pictures, and then I realized that I needed like 12 rolls of film after. It's just
Yeah.
I just wanted to take pictures of everything. Um, so I had this little mini digital camera in like 2001. And then when I graduated college in '04, my grandmother bought me a DSLR, and I just really went out and shot everything. It was a Nikon. It was my first Nikon D70, and
Mm.
I man, I just used that like crazy. Then I bought a Nikon D300, um, roughly like 2008, 2009. And then in 2012, I did, um I had shot something. I think I was already in doing surf photography, and I've made a little bit of money on the side. So I was like, okay, let me go buy this D500. Um, I think I got hired to do some type of travel book, and they kind of gave me an advance. I'm like, oh, this would be great for a new camera. So that's what I did. I went out and got myself a D500. And
Nice. There it
then,
is.
yeah, I love that thing, man. I just won't. I, I'm kind of, I don't know. I'm on the fence with Sony. I've used an A6000 smaller camera when I shot the Blue Angels Homecoming, and I was like, okay, this is fun, but I don't like the LCD on all the time. So, and the battery usage was just like it was burning through batteries real fast. So I decided to stay with my D500. Um, what's up, Jedi? So in 2016, my grandmother passed away, and I guess try to kind of cope with what was going on. I just pushed myself to the max when it came down to photography, almost like to kind of honor her. She got me into it, and I started just taking paid jobs that I didn't want to do. I did a lot of landscape work that kind of burnt me out. Um, I had to shoot the ATC League hockey team, their whole tournament, which I was ecstatic to do. I love doing that, and it was crazy because it probably was maybe like 2 weeks, 3 weeks after my grandmother passed, and I was just like, yeah, I'm gonna do that shit, and I'm gonna work some crazy ass hours. I think I worked a week of midnight shifts, and then drove, 75 miles to the arena. They were playing at the Florida Panthers practice arena. Um, so just went full full on, shot that for the whole week, edited video, edited photos, did the after parties, did everything I can. Ended up having like bronchitis at the end of the week. Um, and I think a few players got sick because we all were drinking out of rum bottles. So it was a fun, fun experience. Um, and then, a few years later, uh, just kind of drifted away from, just kind of got, I guess, kind of beat up a little bit on taking the same photos. Um, and in 2019, I drifted back to where I was comfortable, and that was aviation. Um, and crazy thing in every niche kind of photography I've done, there's always a group of people that are loving it just as much as you are. So we I don't know how it happens. You get into Facebook and you get invited to these chat groups, and you're like, oh. hey, how you doing? What do you like to do? It's like, oh, aviation photography, cool. So, um, it was, I don't know, I'm trying to figure out who started it, and I have no idea who did it, but it was like four photographers, and like Master Jedi, he was just in here earlier. Um, he's in our group. We have now nine photographers in our group, and it evolved into this 305th, because we all do military photography for the most part. So 305th Photography Squadron, which 305 is for the area code for Miami-Dade, where we all kind of technically live, and we all kind of go to air shows together. There you go, Jedi. Um, we go to air shows together. We meet up at airports. We go to the beach. We just kind of hang out. It's a good group of friends. We all come from different backgrounds, different jobs, but we all have the same love for aviation. So it's just incredible to have a good network of people that you could always bounce off ideas, learn from each other. Um, and that's kind of what the whole idea was with this little live show. Like bounce off ideas. What up, Alfie's another original at the oh, there's Alan Sledge. Um, we're always kind of we always kind of doing different things. Alf Photos here also does automotive photography. He goes to races, pretty pretty awesome with that. And Sledge '07 photography, he does paintball games, which is pretty awesome.
I was going to add something there. Yeah, the room is something on
Um,
from shoulder.
we lost you. We lost you there, Brian.
Oh, geez.
Okay, you're clearing up.
My Wi-Fi was good. I might have to go on data. How about now?
Uh, yeah, you're back now.
Okay. Yeah, I was just gonna say it's cool rubbing shoulders with a lot of these people because a lot of other people shoot different types of photography. So it's always cool to get into other stuff. Like one thing I like shooting is you've seen probably like the swoop competitions. So these parachutists that come in super fast over like a body of water and do really cool stuff. I'll meet photographers doing that. Plane spotting, I'll meet other photographers out at the airports. It's everyone has their own little thing, but it's kind of cool to see what they're into and try to get into that as well.
Yeah, it's really cool just to kind of be around a bunch of people that um, like the same, you know, I mean, I do mostly military photography, military aviation. Um, I I have shot some commercial airliners. To me, it's like everywhere you can see those. You know what I mean? You don't see an F-18 every day. You don't see an F-16 every day, unless you're in Miami. Then down south, you see them
Yeah.
every day.
Right.
Um, and what I'm thinking back to this guy's what was it? Let me scroll up real quick. His favorite photo, Antonio Gonzalez. Um, one of my favorite photos in aviation was let me see if I could bring it up. We I had gone down to St. Martin um, for an um, aviation photo contest. Um, I heard about it at work, and one of the supervisors says, "Hey, you have great aviation photos. Go down there, see if you could win. You might be able to win like $3,500." And I was like, "Great! I got to ask my wife because it's like a week in advance." So, what's up, Derek? Life on the ramp. So I had asked her, and she was like, "Yeah. So when are we going to go down?" I'm like, "Okay, well, it costs like $3,500 to go there. We might win $3,500 if we win." But if not, it's still $3,500. So she was 100% into it. We went down there, got these photos. and I was like, okay, well, this is different. Um, Seeing these aviation photographers, there's a whole group of people that are, that spot, but they don't do photos. There's a big group of people that were just taking, you know, looking through binoculars and writing down the tail numbers and where they were landing. And I thought that was so insane. Like, you're not even photographing this thing, and really, it was all airliners for the most part. But there were people keep detailed notes on these jets, and it's pretty just amazing just how different everything is. Um,
So I have something to say to that. I have something to say to that. I met a guy plane spotting at San Jose, and his only reason for showing up was the Salmon 30 Salmon was touching down. And so I didn't realize what flight aware or flight radar was. And so he was tracking this bird, and he only showed up because he's like, at this point, it's gonna come in. I'm gonna get this picture of that plane with that livery. So that was kind of cool too. Like you said, like people want to find specific planes and either spot or take photos of them.
yeah, it's just I mean, I do like the commercial airliners when it's a cool livery.
Yeah,
Um, but if it's just a standard like American Airlines 737 or 757, it's just like, okay, yeah, I see those every day. I don't need to
right.
see I don't need to see any more of those. They're like a thanks, Natalie. Me and Derek, Life on the Ramp, were always saying, "Oh, they're the other Honda Civic of the airlines." And like there's so many out there.
Yeah, like
They're
the
either Hondas or they're Toyotas.
A320s. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I can't find the photo right now. But I'll probably upload some favorites that I've shot over the year. I'll probably upload that tomorrow, um, so people can see, what I mean, the scale and the different kind of images I've taken over. I mean, next year I think will be 20 years that I've been doing photography, as at least as a semi-pro. So, dude, it's been a wild ride. The places I've been, the things I've seen, um, it's awesome. I wouldn't I wouldn't stop doing it. Even the times I feel like, oh man, I'm not getting any traction on Instagram. The algorithm has changed again. Now no one sees anything. But
Yeah.
I'll still I still have to take my camera. If I don't take my camera on a trip, you know, I know I'm gonna see something that I'm gonna miss in a photographic sense. Me and my wife go down to Everglades National Park every so often, and I remember we went out to like Big Cypress, which is a national preserve here in Florida, and I didn't take my camera. I was like, oh, no big deal. It was raining. There's probably nothing I'm going to see. And we're here driving down this dirt road, and here comes a black bear and its cub. And I'm like, oh my God. Of course, the day that I don't have my camera, I see bears for the first time in like 30 years,
Yeah.
you know? Um, like last week, we went down to Everglades National Park, and there was coyotes. I've never seen coyotes in Everglades National Park. A bunch of owls and stuff. So, I mean, I did have my camera, but on the D500, I shot it at like 12,000 ISO in the middle of the night. So it's like it's
A
snowing.
little noisy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. All right, man. Well, so far this is pretty fun to kind of like just talk about photography. Um, have I have John. I think he was on here earlier. John Adams. He's in New Hampshire. He's going to join in January.
Okay.
Um, we're gonna. I think you and I agreed that we're going to do this like monthly, see how it goes. And if we get more people, try to do bi-weekly. Um, hey, John, there he is. J Adams Photography. J underscore Adams Photography. Awesome surf photographer. He actually gets in the water up there in New England. It's freaking
Ooh.
Polar Bear Club.
Yeah,
Um,
that's right.
Also does some really awesome wildlife photography and some aviation photography that I guess he's caught it up there in Peace Air Force Base.
Okay,
So
cool.
we're gonna talk to him in January. Um, yeah, it's been pretty fun.
Yeah, I thought it was a good first episode.
Yeah.
So I look
Oh,
forward to just
awesome, John.
sitting back and watching next time.
Well, we'll have to get you on again. See how everything is going. I want to see those San Jose Sharks, those images when you get those
Yeah,
done.
we'll see how that goes. Hopefully, I can get a
Yeah,
photo hole.
yeah,
I'm
awesome.
I'm kind of bottom of the totem pole for that one, but it
Yeah,
should still be fun.
yeah, for sure. Um, for so that's your first NFL game. Are they going to give you any other access, like from above the glass, or?
We'll see. I'm gonna message their media guy and see what my left right limits are. I'm definitely gonna try to set up a remote camera. It would be cool to put one in the catwalk. Like I have a magic arm, I have my cables and stuff, but again, not every team is like, oh yeah, we'll just let a random photographer walk in the catwalk. It should be perfectly fine, you know.
Yeah,
So it's kind of a liability thing. But if they do, that'd be awesome. If they don't, it is what it is. So I'll just be excited to be there.
for sure. It'll be a great experience nonetheless.
Oh, speaking of hockey, Inside the Rink just jumped on. So if you guys want to follow Inside the Rink, that's the hockey outlet that I shoot for. Um, they have a group of passionate photographers and writers that cover hockey across the U.S. So definitely give them a follow. Try to boost their numbers up a bit. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, for sure. Any more hockey in my feed, and it'd be a great thing. Me
Yeah.
and my wife we were um, it was funny. We were thinking like, okay, well, let's go check out every sporting team that we have, so we could go watch. And we started with baseball. We discussed baseball. I played baseball when I was a kid, didn't like it. We started with baseball, and we're like, yeah, well, we're not big into baseball, so we'll skip that. Then we went to a Dolphins game, and we like got tickets. It was like nosebleed section. Everyone was ants, playing below us, and we're like, okay, well, it's freaking hot in this stadium. Can barely see anything, um, so we're not going to do that. And then we went to go see a Heat game, Miami Heat basketball team. Super fun, air conditioned, and I was like, okay, we could probably do this. And then we looked at season tickets. I'm like, okay, we can't do this. This is expensive.
Yeah. That was fun once.
That was fun once, yeah. And then
Uh,
we went to see a Florida Panthers game. I took her to a game,
oh,
just
nice.
like um, just a little game, just to see how it was on one side of the seats. And then my wife has never, she's was never into hockey before, and all of a sudden they start fighting, and I'm like, yes, finally they're getting into a fight. We're gonna watch this thing escalate. And I told her, oh, don't worry, if someone falls on the floor, then the ref will break them up, but they're
Yeah.
not. They're gonna let them go for it. And then we saw another game against the Rangers, and the Rangers fan base, dude, they are brutal to their own players. Uh, and we had this conversation with one of the guys that was sitting next to us, and they're like, "Oh yeah, if you showed up to New York, and you wore your Panthers uh, jersey, we would rip it off you and burn it in the parking lot." I'm like, "Damn, dude, we're not doing that to you down here." It's like, "Yeah, you guys are too nice."
Yeah.
It's like,
Like sounds like any Philly fan for any sport. All of them.
yeah. So yeah, we became um, season ticket holders for their 2018 season for the Panthers, and
Oh, nice.
we she's she's not hardcore hockey fan, but we definitely watch hockey above any other sport team down here. Um,
Yeah.
so I like I said, I photographed hockey a little bit, not to the extent that you've done it. Mine's more of a drinking league, and I
It's still fun to photograph though.
those, yeah, definitely when they get really drunk on the ice and they're like just having fun, and it's awesome. And I played street hockey when I was a kid, but I got kicked off because I like to fight. So I was told I couldn't do that as a kid, you know. But hockey is definitely part of me. So it's awesome to see your progression from your images, see how you started off, see these amazing shots that you're doing now. You got these bent sticks, you know, when they're flexing when they're taking
Oh yeah,
that slap, man. It's just awesome seeing that inside the rink. You really got one of the best photographers, up and
oh,
coming
stop it.
photographers. And plus, look at this guy's beard, man. I mean, come on.
Yeah,
All right, Brian. It was a good chat. Um, with the next one, I have it scheduled on. Let me see. We're going to talk to John on January 9th. I think it's the second Tuesday. We're not doing anything next week because it's Christmas, so we're not gonna, bother people after their Christmas holiday or their New Year's. So everyone have a happy holidays, safe New Year's, and I guess we'll be back January 9th.
sounds good, man. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, for sure. It's been fun. We
Yep.
did a full 50 minutes so far, so that's
Yeah.
pretty awesome.
Yeah.
See ya. Talk to you soon. All right.